morning, students. Today I'm going to walk you through the 7 steps to the perfect story. So we're going to help you plan your story. So the first step is that you have to understand your story. We've talked about the narrative arc, which is sort of in the form of just a mountain, and this gets a little bit more in detail with it. So we'll start here at the beginning. In the beginning, your character is just a part of ordinary life. Your character is in English class right now. It's ordinary, it's every day. This is what they do every single day. But then there is a call to adventure. So you go outside to use the bathroom, and when you come back, there is a unicorn in the hallway, and the unicorn is asking for your help. That is the call to adventure. Now, for a story to happen, your character has to answer the call to adventure. So you can't be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you," and go back to English class, because then the story's over. You have to take the call to adventure and you say, "Sure, I'll help you." So then you go about trying to help this unicorn get out of the school, and there's a conflict. An ogre comes and wants to fight the unicorn, and the unicorn doesn't know how to fight, and the unicorn asks you to fight and help him. Well, you don't know how to fight an ogre. That's the conflict. In order to reach your goal of helping the unicorn get out of the school, you have this conflict of the ogre. It's standing between you and what you want. So you have to figure out a way to fight the ogre. So you try and you try and you try, and you can't fight off the ogre, but you keep trying, and eventually you are able to defeat the ogre, and the ogre leaves, and you've defeated the ogre. That's growth. So what happens between the conflict and your growth? That's character transformation. So that's a part of your narrative arc also. And then closure. You let the unicorn out, the unicorn flies over the rainbow and goes home. And then life resumes, and that's the end. You go back to English class, but you're a different person after this. You're not the same as the person at the beginning of the story. That's the basic story plot. There's a problem. It could be a question, an opportunity, a challenge, or a goal. You've got this conflict, growth, transformation, and by the end, your questions are answered. Opportunity, challenge, or goal, they are met. So that's the basic narrative arc. You can choose your plot. The plot could be overcoming the monster. That's like what we did up here with overcoming the ogre. And so you've got the call, the challenge, conflict, growth, and solution. They all can fit into this, but maybe it's a story about overcoming the monster. Maybe it's a story about going from rags to riches, like Cinderella. She was poor and she met a prince and then became rich. Or the quest, like Lord of the Rings. They're going on this quest, this journey. It's a long journey to fulfill their goals, where you have to travel. Maybe it's a voyage and a return, like Alice in Wonderland. She goes into this wonderland and she wanders around and is trying to find her way back, or like maybe the Wizard of Oz, going to Oz and trying to find her way back, and eventually she does find her way back. It could be a comedy. It could be a tragedy. A comedy being things start out happy, they get really sad, and then at the end, everyone's happy again. A tragedy, things start off really good, and they go from bad to worse, and people are sad at the end. Or a rebirth. It would be like the Frog Prince or the Princess and the Frog, where this frog needs to change back into a prince, and where there's the main kind of goal for the person is that they renew themselves and they become a better version of themselves. So those are all kinds of plots that you could choose for your own short story. Then you have to choose your hero. Are you going to have a willing hero like King Arthur or Hercules, who's like, "Yes, I'm going to jump in here. I really want to do it"? Do you have an unwilling hero like Bilbo Baggins in The Hobbit, where he's like, "Oh, I do not want this responsibility. I wish I could give it to somebody else, but I can't. Nobody will take it." And so he does it because there's nobody else around to do it, but he really doesn't want to. Is your character a cynical anti-hero like Han Solo? Like, he doesn't even believe in what they're doing right now, but he's going along with it because he's got his own reasons. He's not doing it for high, lofty reasons. He's got his own reasons for doing it. He ends up doing the right thing, but not maybe for the right reasons. Maybe a tragic anti-hero like Darth Vader, maybe. He's the enemy, but he really wants to be good. Group-oriented hero, where it's a person who is saving a whole group. The loner hero, like Indiana Jones, he works alone, he doesn't have a partner, he does everything by himself. Or a catalyst hero, so any mentor, like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. Maybe it's Gandalf's story. He's the catalyst hero because he's the one helping the hobbits. And then you need to choose your characters. These are some like archetypes or very typical characters. You could kind of use this as sort of an umbrella, and the character that you create maybe falls into these kinds of types of characters. So the shaman is a helper who aids the hero in seeking a guiding vision to help him or her on the journey, like Gandalf. The herald, and these don't have to be your main characters, but they can be characters within your novel. Herald characters issue challenges and announce the coming of significant change. So it could be, like a prophet or someone coming in to say, hey, this terrible change is happening. The threshold guardian protect the special world and its secrets from the hero and provide essential tests to prove a hero's commitment and worth. So it would be Cerberus, guarding Hades or something like that. It's this character who stands in the way of what the character wants and has to provide the character with tests so that the character can prove he's worth it. The shapeshifter is another character you might think about having. His mask misleads the hero by hiding a character's intentions and loyalties. So maybe this is somebody who you think he's really bad, but in the end he's actually really good, like maybe Professor Snape in Harry Potter. The trickster, he or she relishes the disruption of the status quo, turning the ordinary world into chaos with their quick turns of phrase and physical antics. So this would be somebody who comes along and just, ruins things for the hero just because they feel like doing it, like Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty. The fool. In Europe, the court jester was not necessarily a simpleton and in fact often served to remind the monarch of his own folly and humanity. So this would be somebody who says a lot of things and maybe people think that this person is really dumb, but by the end of the story you're like, oh my goodness, we didn't realize it, but this was the wisest person of us all. The shadow is another one. So here she represents the energy of the dark side, the unexpressed, unrealized, or rejected aspects of something. So kind of could be like Maleficent again, or just kind of the Darth Vader, the person who sort of is on the dark side. The anima or animus, it's a form that generally reflects either the condition or the needs of our soul presently. So this is a character who maybe comes and shows truth to our main character or reveals something. It's like letting the main character look in a mirror. So this is someone who reveals maybe an unknown truth to the hero of your story. You could have the divine couple. So this could be, the opposites of the outer and the inner life are now joined in marriage. So maybe this is like the opposites attract kind of couple. And then the child, related to the hope and promise of new beginnings. So maybe you have a very innocent child in your book that is sort of a symbol of new beginnings. So choose the characters you want. Your main character, your antagonist, and your side characters. Observe the rule of 3. Notice how 3 pops up in stories all the time. The 3 Stooges, the 3 Little Pigs, 3 Billy Goats Gruff, Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, 3 Blind Mice, the love for 3 oranges, the good, the bad, and the ugly, 3 men in a boat. Okay, so it's somewhere in your story you should have an element of 3, maybe 3 tests that the character has to go through, or 3 places they end up being at, or 3 characters who come and warn the main character of something. Find some way to put in 3 into your story. And then you're going to choose your media, which, you could do a film, you could do a play, but we are writing a short story, so it will be print. And then observe the golden rule. Don't give the audience 4, give them 2 plus 2. So another way of saying this is show, don't tell. And we'll talk about that in another video. But that's the basic way that you want to structure your story. See if you can structure your story to fit kind of all of those characters and those plots, and you're going to have a really amazing story.